Today I thought I would speak about choosing and using trekking poles on a through hike of the AT specifically. So let's get on with it. Okay, so if you don't already have trekking poles and you're considering them and you're wondering why you should spend the money, what's the point of that? The biggest issue for the AT for trekking poles, frankly, is stability. Because it is so wet, so rocky, so uneven. So let's just go over the poles and some of the features that I would say look for in a pole. Again, what I select has little to no bearing on what you may select, but some of the things that I found about these poles, positively and negatively, for you to consider, both with them and with others, we'll go over real quick. So let's just start at the top. So this has sort of a rubber butt plate. You can see that right there. Fits right in the palm of your hand. And it has a lip, also rubberized. And so you can wrap your hand around and it fits right into that space. Now, when does this matter? That matters when you're going downhill. I'll go over this strap in a second, but when your hand's in the strap, you've got the weight on the strap, and you can hold that pole just like that. And you're pressing it into the ground in front of you, slowing your pace down so that you can have proper footing and proper balance. Down below that, this is cork. I prefer cork. It doesn't get as sweaty or slippery, but I know they come in, I think, neoprene as well. Okay, so the next thing I want to go to is the strap. Okay, this is potentially one of the weak points of the Cascade Mountain Tech. This does not have a sort of positive latch that holds the strap in a particular setting. It simply uses a loop on itself, so it's obviously a webbing with a little bit of a soft material sewn onto the inside, and it uses simply the webbing. The bottom loop here is permanently attached. The top loop goes in behind it like on a buckle and then comes out and leaves this tail. Okay, so because of that, theoretically, this can slide open or closed as you move. I can honestly tell you, in the time that I've had it, it hasn't done that. I think the reason it hasn't done it is because I hold the poles properly. I know a lot of folks, don't like, they just slip their hand through. So there's three ways to put your hand through this loop. Just simply straight in, and then you have nothing. It's just, there's no positive control. It provides like no assistance. Okay, the other way is coming the wrong side, the back side. If you do that, you're going to see, hopefully, that this webbing folds back on itself. And when it does that, it's going to cause, a friction point on your hand, and you'll notice it immediately. Okay, so the third way is to come in, and you'll know you have it right when you do it, because the webbing, just all three pieces, just lay right down into a comfortable location right at the webbing of your hand. So now, when we look at the shape and design of the handle, okay, this upper lip works well when you're going downhill. This top lip, your hand comes right in. There's actually a little bit, I don't know if you can see, but a little bit of like what we call pistol grip contour there that your first finger goes into, and it all smoothly comes like this. And because the webbing is taut, not tight, on your hand, the only friction point or pivot point is really right there at the top, you see? So when you're going uphill or downhill, and it's not so steep that you actually rotate your hand up, then you are putting your weight, you don't have to really hold on to it. You just kind of use your fingers as a pivot point there. So I like the CMT carbon fiber poles probably the carbon fiber isn't quite the quality of what you'd find in a black diamond or a Lecky or something, so they're a little bit thicker. The positive aspect of that for me is it means that the handle's a bit thicker. And since I have sort of large mitts, it fits my hand really well. I think you'll see that as I bring my hand around this, my thumb comes over, just basically like a pistol grip, and then the rest of my fingers come over and actually touch my palm. So it literally is like a perfect sort of grip, very comfortable. On the bottom, there's again just a little bit of a bottom shelf. And so this finger groove and this little bottom shelf capturing your fingers really is great when you're just moving forward. They're not, so pronounced that they're going to be sort of friction points for you to use going up and downhill per se, but they are great sort of pressure points as you're moving. Because my webbing of my hand is always on this little pressure point or pivot point, it holds these straps in place, and that's why they don't slip free, or in my experience haven't been slipping free. But that is a consideration for you. If the grip is too big, or it doesn't really fit well in your hand, or frankly you want to use a different grip. Use a different grip profile. This relaxation of the webbing and slipping of the webbing may well be an issue for you. Okay, moving down the pole, we have sort of a neoprene type material down below. I don't know what that's for. I'm not going to remove it even though it's weight, simply because it seems to be glued on there. I'll probably never get it off and it'll just be a sticky mess. But anyway, it's there. I guess, theoretically you could take your hand out when you're going up a very steep hill and just have a compression without having to adjust this, because you don't want to be adjusting this. The one thing about this design is the fact that it's a little finicky and it takes a bit of time to get it right to have this taut but not tight on your hand so that it's comfortable. You don't want to be doing that a whole lot, every day, that's for sure. The carbon fiber, as I've mentioned, the poles, seem to be really light and comfortable. I mean, I don't know what they are relative to their competitors. I do believe that they're a little bit thicker. Going down the pole, you're going to have two latching or locking mechanisms. Considerations for those locking mechanisms is that they're plastic. I haven't had an issue with them being plastic yet. Well, I'll caveat that. I haven't had an issue with them being plastic. I've had one time when the lower shaft did compress on me. I will show you the hill, inserted here, that I was going down. So the grade was exceptionally steep. And I obviously didn't have it tight enough, because I've even gone down that hill since then and haven't been able to compress that. It didn't compress fully, but it did compress some on this lower shaft. There are graduated indicators. I'm a 120 here and a 46 down here, must be centimeters. When you size it, what you want is you simply want, when you're standing on level ground, for your arm to be at a 90 degree like this. That's when they are properly sized for you. So, continuing to move down, like I said, there's two locking mechanisms. I do not like the twist type locking mechanisms. That's sort of an older style. They're much more likely to unscrew and compress on you. This is, I would recommend to you that you use these external style locking mechanisms, which you're going to find on most of the good poles. Down here, I have the mud basket on this. There is also a bigger snow basket, just a little bit wider, also is perforated. So I like to have the mud basket just so the pole doesn't, post hole in the ground. And then you have removable tips. This is a carbide tip. There are also just two different type of rubber tips come with this that you can put over the top of it. So those are sort of the components of this. I have, you may have noticed, so I'll just point it out, I put some duct tape here, part of my duct tape here. The reason I put it on this pole low down here is because this is the one I attach my UltraPod to. And the UltraPod is not grippy enough on this slick carbon fiber material. And so what happens is that if I just wrap the Velcro around the UltraPod, it'll rotate with the weight of the iPhone 8. So I put, kill two birds with one stone. I put some of my monster tape down here where I keep the UltraPod sitting, and it's grippy enough and thick enough in order for the UltraPod to grasp it, so that when I use it as sort of a selfie stick, it's sitting right here. On my other pole, my left pole, they're not left and right, but I keep them that way. On my left pole, I have more just monster tape right here. So those are the components of this, and we will show you real quickly the techniques. Hey guys, I'm going to try to hold this camera steady and demonstrate for you the utility of the wristband on the hiking poles. So I think you can see I'm on a very steep grade here. I've put one of my poles in it. I'm not sure I showed this to you. I think I forgot when I showed you the pack. This Osprey pack has integrated pole holder. So it has a little loop up here, and it has a little ring down there that it's really super convenient. Anyway, back to the point. So I've got this grip with this overlap with the wristband taut but not tight. I've got sort of a point just like this, pivot point. So what happens is that as we start to take a grade, this is really steep here, start to take a grade, and essentially all that weight is down on that pole and down on that strap right now. All my weight's leaning forward. And so I do grasp the top like this, and then I can use this, see if I can actually get an angle so you can see, use this to slow my descent down as I go down to allow better foot placement. That all plays into easier on the joints. Not only am I taking weight off of my legs, but I'm also giving myself the time and opportunity for better foot placement. Now I'm just going to swing around here and go up the hill to sort of fulfill this. Same thing, just going to pivot here like this. And this is where I can put that weight down on that strap and don't have to, choke the shit out of my handle, and have hand fatigue. I can just easy does it. It's got that little shelf, not a lot of pressure there, little finger joint, not a lot of pressure there, basically down on that webbing, and just holding it like this so that I have stability of it and doesn't flop back and forth. Just want to do that little demonstration so that you understand the point of using the strap the way it's intended and not cutting it off to save weight. You're using the pole with your opposite foot. What it does is the pole tip never, this is the handle, the pole tip never actually goes out in front of you. The handle end will project forward like this in front of you, but the pole will be tilted backwards and it will marry up with your other foot. So what happens is it significantly increases your length of stride, because what happens is that as you step forward, boom, forward, boom, that the pole actually hits the ground first and allows your foot to slide forward just that another sort of inch or two, lengthening your stride. And then, because your arm is already moving back, it's propelling you forward So stability leads to speed. One great attribute of using the trekking pole. Balance is another. Whether it's crossing a stream or it's working through rocks, being able to have 4 points of contact or 3 points of contact at all times on the ground, of course, is a huge advantage. The poles are also used for a lot of unconventional things. Checking depths of water at a river crossing. When you step over a log, you who are probably told by your parents, don't ever step over a log, because that's where snakes like to curl themselves up and sort of nestle in that little ledge area on the leeward side of a log. And it's true. But like everything else with the Thru-hike, everything's backwards from what you knew from every other hunting, camping, hiking experience you've ever learned. The Thru-hike seems to be 180 degrees off. And the reason it's 180 degrees off in this instance is because, what do they say? 5 million steps you're going to make over the course of your successful Thru-hike. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, 100,000 of those are going to be stepping over a log or a rock or something in the path along the trail. And as I think early riser noted, and even Steve Walker had commented, just go out the next time you walk up the steps and pay attention to the first step you take onto those steps. And what you're going to find, you primarily step with one foot, either left or right foot, onto that step. And you do the same thing when you go and step up onto a log. So what does that mean? Rising compression on the same leg all the time, and downward compression on the same leg coming off of that log each time. 100,000 times over the trip of 5 million steps. That is a recipe for ligament and knee damage. So you want to stop as much as possible the ups and downs, the pointless ups and downs, ones that you can actually control, not the mountains. So that means stepping on rocks that are level, stepping over logs that are level. So back to the point of the pole, you step with that pole over the other side of the log first. That way, if there's a snake or something there that you're not expecting, even a drop off or whatever, you're going to be able to detect that with your pole. So like I said, it's sort of a non-traditional use, but it's a common use. So it's another sort of advantage for having the trekking poles. So the poles really have many practical uses. As far as on the PCT, I may give it a different consideration, except for I still do believe that they're very valuable in increasing your speed and propulsion. Well, I hope this has been helpful, guys. I'm going to continue on. I'm on my last leg of my 11-mile hike today, and just going to wrap it up. Thanks for everything. And with that, Scars out.